Hello, everyone. My name is Hobie W. The coach of your Cincinnati Bagons, and I know it's been a while since I've done anything draft related, but if you're not aware, the GBA has recently rebooted, and the GBA is one of the things that initially brought me into Draft League and made me really start to enjoy it. So I joined their community kickoff tournament, which is starting right before their season 10. Um, yeah, I just recently completed my draft, and I want to just do a little recording to show you guys it. So, a bit of context about the format of the tournament before anything goes. People are divided up into groups of 16, where each have to draft 8 Mons, so this is a large pool of people drafting a relatively small number of Mons, which means the draft is interesting, particularly given the fact that I was 16th pick, so I was the second wheel. And I'm actually relatively happy with my draft, albeit it doesn't have any particular standouts, such as Palafin, Iron Bundle, any of those very strong new Gen Mons. However, I am very happy with the direction this took place. I will be recording and uploading the tournament games as those happen later on in the month. Yeah, so look forward to those. Alright, my first Mon that I took at 16th pick is Zapdos. Now, Zapdos is a Mon that, although I haven't used it in draft too much, I'm very comfortable using it in OU in standard play. So, I felt that overall, as an A tier pick, so as a tier 2, rather than, not my S tier, not my tier 1, I thought this was a very good pick, one of the best A tiers out there, in my opinion, and it synergizes really well with my next pick, in addition to just being an extremely versatile Mon. Uh, you know, great attack, great defenses. It's Zapdos. There's no. It's just overall very solid. My next pick, as I mentioned, synergizes well with Zapdos, is Pelipper. So, we're doing with the recently released home format, which means Politoed is not in the game, and Kyogre is obviously banned. As a result, Pelipper is the only rain setter that is available, which means I have a monopoly on rain for my draft pool. I might face some other rain teams later on, however, it's very unlikely, given that there's only one Mon in the entire draft, which you can take to get it. Pelipper itself, yeah, it's a rain machine. That's all it really does. Throw a damp rock, heavy duty boots, whatever. Unfortunately, it did lose defog, which sucks. However, it does synergize, well with Zapdos, very well with, spoiler alert for a rain team, I have a Swift Swimmer later on, which really helps it. So yeah, this is trash can the Pelipper. Next, as is customary for my drafts, at my third round pick, I took Kamala. Um, I do actually really like, given the fact that both Zapdos and Pelipper have lost defog, removal is going to be pretty hard to get in this draft. So, little and rapid spin. So, I'm actually very happy that I got, in addition to just loving the Mon, it being my general mascot logo type thing, although not for this team. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Completely out of nowhere, unrelated note. Banded Woodhammer does one hit KO Tapu Fini. If you understand that reference, let me know. Anyway, so around this point, I'd originally planned on waiting until the very end of the draft to grab my S tier, tier 1. However, there were 4 other people who also hadn't taken it. So I wanted to, at this point, grab my S tier so that I could solidify, so that I wasn't left with something which just wouldn't work well with my team at all. And one thing that, as I was going on in the draft, realized that I didn't really have a ground type. So, I grabbed Garchomp. Not your typical ground type, however, not your typical defensive ground type, I should say. However, as a defensive mon, it's Garchomp. It's incredible. It can do everything at once. Obviously, Swords Dance, click Earthquake, Outrage, that type of thing. It can click Stealth Rocks. It got spikes this generation, which is really nice, especially with Kamal's Rapid Spin. It can even go special if it wants to. It's Garchomp. It does what it wants. And overall, I think I'll probably bring this basically every week. It works, it doesn't particularly synergize with Rain, but it's very nice for absorbing the electric types, which could otherwise be a problem. Next up, I got Basculegion. So I was debating. I have two other people who helped me with this draft. Shoutouts to AW and Phoenix. And they convinced me that one Swift Swimmer would be the best thing. That, 3 water types in an 8-mon draft was too much. So I really wanted to grab the best Swift Swimmer left available, which was Basculegion. I've never used it before. I haven't played OU recently in the past, since home released recently. However, I know what it does. Swift Swim, clicks Wave Crash. Last Respects is banned, which is an important thing to note for this, so it's not going to be doing any of that crazy stuff. However, overall, I'd say it's probably the best Swift Swimmer in the game right now. In addition to that, I also made it my Terra Captain. You are allowed 1 Mon to make your Terra Captain. It can be from any tier, and can Terra into any type. However, it has to be that 1 Mon for the entire tournament. And I figured, Basculegion would probably be the most likely. The Terra Water symbol is there. I don't think it's a big surprise that it'll most likely be clicking Terra Water Wave Crash in Rain most of the time. Next up I got Bisharp. So this Mon doesn't particularly synergize with draft. It likes Rain to avoid those fire type attacks. But what really stands out to me is that Bisharp was a tier 4, a C tier Mon, which in my opinion probably top 3 biggest steals in the entire tiering system that this tournament has. No one had taken it at round 6, at which point I wanted to take it because it was such a good steal. Eviolite, it did lose knockoff, and it obviously lost Pursuit in Gen 8, hence the name. It lost knockoffs this generation. However, it now has Eviolite. So Eviolite, Sword Stance, Sucker Punch, runs Night Slash now, Iron Head, it gets all of its coverage. Usually has. It's Bisharp. It does Bisharp things, except now with Eviolite, which is crazy. And now these are my final 2 picks that I grabbed in the wheel. I wanted to, at this point in my draft, my main concern was sorting out speed tiers and filling out niches that I hadn't quite gotten. And Rotom Mo really helped fill my speed tiers to help, those base 90, 95, so they wouldn't be able to run plus speed. I really like Rotom forms, and Rotom Mo is probably my favorite. I really like Rotom Heat too, but Rotom Mo is probably my favorite and definitely the one I've used most in draft. It's surprisingly versatile. When people think of Rotom, they think of, defensive bulky Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split. But in draft, when you know what your opponent's bringing, offensive Rotom is also a very strong option. And so I can definitely see myself both using this defensively and to benefit from the fire resistant Rain, but also offensively, potentially, with Damp Rock Pelipper, I can run Thunder over Thunderbolt, which really cranks up its damage. It gets Nasty Plot. Rotom does Rotom things, but it also attacks. You know, it can hit hard. And I'm very much looking forward to using it yet again. My final Mon is one I've never used in draft before, but AW, who, as I mentioned, helped build my team, has used it a lot, and it's Tauros. Tauros, at this point in my draft, my fastest Mon was Garchomp, and I wanted to boost my highest speed tier just a little bit so that base 125s wouldn't be able to run plus attack. And Tauros helps fill that. It's a generally very strong physical attacker. Sheer Force, Sheer Force, Life Orb, Body Slam, hits hard. I know in the past AW has run coverage moves like Ice Beam or Blizzard, which, it's got 40 special attack, but it does get kills. So, Sheer Force, Life Orb, Ice Beam does on a quad effective move. Maybe. You'll never know. So yeah, this is my draft. I know this recording is pretty scuffed. I'm doing this traveling on my laptop, visiting some people right now. So apologies for that. However, hopefully I should be back by the time the tournament has started, although there's no guarantee about that. Yeah, so hope you all enjoyed this, and talk to you all later.